And we're back with another episode of Before You Buy, that show where we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. It's busy review season. There are a ton of games releasing in February, but surprise, surprise, we got Cyberpunk 2077 again. It's back. And this time, it now finally has official next-generation versions on PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. Along with that, folks on the other platforms like PC are also all being treated to the 1.5 update. This is a big update that brings a lot of changes to the game, so we figured it was worth outlining in a video real quick. Whether you're considering buying Cyberpunk for a next-gen console or just jumping back in, there's some stuff to know. So let's jump in with a breakdown and some opinions and first impressions. Now, right off the bat, we jumped into the PS5 version because the original base PS4 version was so rough, and even the backwards compatible version of the game running on PS5 was just okay. So we also started a fresh playthrough here because we found some of the earlier sequences to have some of the most memorable and noticeable glitches for us back when we first played. Now, here, front and center, this is PS5 footage in performance mode. It definitely is finally up to par. Like, it feels, dare I say, maybe like a more finished product, at least just performance-wise. You know, when I first played through the game, originally, I played on PC, and this is much closer to that than it's ever been. Now, it still doesn't always look totally great. I wish there was more car and crowd density, and sometimes the detail feels lower than I expected here and there, but there is a noticeable improvement, and the frame rate is good. The game doesn't feel like it's on the brink of collapse, and with that just comes a better, smoother playing experience. The load times are much faster, and while I see little visual glitches here and there, there's nothing catastrophic so far. It also has a ray trace mode, but you know, you're getting 30 FPS, and I don't really think it's quite worth the trade-off here. It does change the look of the game, sure, but it's a better playing game when it's smoother. Now, we revisited this game a few months ago, actually, on its like anniversary or whatever, and it was fine. I think it needed a bit more, and thankfully, this new 1.5 update really kind of rounds things out pretty well. There are a lot of additions, and we can't include everything here, but I'll give you some highlights of some things that make a difference. We're just kind of messing around here in game so you can get a sense of how it looks and how it is. So like I said, with graphics and performance, it feels much better, but that's also because everything has been tweaked. Shooting feels a little snappier and everything a little less bullet spongy, but most importantly, the enemies are a bit less brainless. They're less likely to just blindly run at you or just stand there. They take cover better and they feel more reactive from there, making the shootouts just feel a bit more like shootouts, which is great. The driving has been tweaked too. The cockpit FPS view is a little better and driving feels a bit heavier. Now, I went on record saying I didn't really mind the driving back in the day, but it does have a little bit more heft and a little bit of a different noticeable feel to it now. You can also do burnouts, which, thank God. Couple this with the quality of life improvements from earlier updates, like less spam phone calls and it generally just being cleaned up. It makes a hell of a difference. The skip time thing is more clear and you can jump to exactly what time you want. Along with that, the map is much better over some updates. It's way more clear and every type of thing is more distinct with more colors. Navigation seems better. Cops are a bit less BS with teleporting and crowds are finally more reactive. You know, fire a gun or mess around and they're no longer totally just set dressing that I'll just duck and cover. Sometimes they'll fight back. You know, they'll run away. Most of them still look totally dumb, but it's nice to have the bare minimum interaction that most gamers kind of hope for in these worlds, you know? Cars will also panic drive away, and it all feels just way less messy and a bit more your standard video game fare that you were expecting. The game also, right off the bat, feels way more generous. The 1.5 update balanced and reworked the economy, so stuff is more affordable, but I also found way more exciting loot drops right early on, which is nice. There are also new weapons in the game, and they totally overhauled the throwing knife and made it much more usable and sustainable as a main, which is good. Speaking of that, there's a skill tree overhaul, which is really nice too. Some of the more lame, redundant stuff has been dropped in favor of stronger, more useful upgrades. Now, admittedly, we weren't able to experiment with this as much as we'd like, but RPG improvements in general are absolutely welcome because I never really felt like the RPG and character buildings in this game were super strong anyway. So if they're taking turns to address that and beef things up in spots, we're all for it. Along with that, they did a good job of just giving players what they want. There's a slow walk toggle on the PC version now, which is crazy to think that they didn't have that. You can also change your character's appearance from the mirror in the apartment, and there are more options now. It's great. I actually found myself tweaking my appearance pretty frequently. Speaking of the apartment, you can also get different designs, and there are also now 4 different apartments around the city, which you can buy for a one-time fee, which is pretty sick. They all have different themes and vibes and little things to engage within them. Other notable things include the fixtures being updated with pacing and new rewards for completing all of their tasks. There are more romance interactions, and according to CD Projekt Red, there are other additions and little tweaks that they're waiting for players to discover. So yeah, now exploring Night City and getting around and shooting dudes and driving finally feels way more sound. And the year's worth of improvements and tweaks, followed by all the substantial changes in the 1.5 update, really do add up to make a difference. Like if you were playing this thing on a base PS4 or, maybe a PS4 Pro and you're jumping to this, there is a noticeable improvement. Maybe with all those little updates though, it doesn't take it from like the worst game ever to the best game ever by any means. It's still got the occasional jank and it's not the most flawless and open-ended creative RPG, but exploring Night City never gets old. It didn't when I reviewed it on PC, and it doesn't now. Just driving, listening to cool music, and taking in the sights is something that I just think is worth checking out because they built a cool world here, regardless of how I think the rest of the game still ain't perfect. It's a cool game world, it's an interesting story, and now it's got a good frame rate, it doesn't look like crap, and it's more playable. And it's much better now for seemingly most people who've never played it. And there's a free trial on consoles now too, which is nice, so you can just jump in and judge for yourself. Some people don't mind rough edges, some people do, so you can try it. That's really it. I do think that some people are just still not interested after everything, and the people who are already own the game and they're jumping in themselves again. But we just wanted to give you guys a quick outline and a look at gameplay of it running on a PS5, so there you have it. If you jumped in, since this did go live yesterday, let us know what you think, whether you're on Xbox, PlayStation, PC. Let us know what you think of the improvements. Let us know what you think of all the little updates at CD Projekt Red to just generally make the game better. And the graphical side, if you are someone jumping from a base PS4 to a PS5 or somewhere in between, we'd love to know what you think and just generally how you feel about the whole product now. If you had a good time and maybe learned something about these updates, all you gotta do is click the like button. We would very much appreciate that. We definitely gotta get back to reviewing all these other big games that are releasing. So with that, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell because we put out videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
But VR virtual and theatrical performances in the no tradition.